It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games. Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Utah numbers ahead. Keller and Schmaltz. Schmaltz shoots and scores! Another Hattie for Nick Schmaltz.
I want to say before last year, I would have told you it's incredibly important. You got to go try and steal one. And you look at it that way. The message that I like to kind of want to portray with our guys is that, listen, you're not going to go 16-0. So you're going to lose games. You're going to make mistakes. And once you kind of go into the game knowing that that's going to happen, that you're going to make a mistake, I'm going to make a mistake, we're going to want to save back. Once you get over that fact, you realize it's a game that you've played your whole life and you should be able to have some fun with.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, here we go. Scott Gerard alongside Jay Stevens. It's over as the Mammoth leading for the majority of this game, but giving up 3 goals in the third period and ended up losing this game 4-2. Jay, this game was there to be had. This one's a little kick to the nether regions, and this is a tough one to swallow because I think the Mammoth had every opportunity to come away with the W tonight.
Yeah, everything was going the way you wanted to see it go. The first period, the first 5 minutes of the first period, it was Mammoth looked like they were going to take the game to the Vegas Golden Knights. They were playing the way you wanted them to play. They were throwing their body more than they had thrown their body before. They were creating – I mean, they almost got a goal within the first 3 minutes of the game. They were looking really good. Carter Hart was fighting the puck. You saw in the very first shot where he kind of fumbled it. And then a couple times after that. So I thought, man, this is the time. Carter Hart's feeling the pressure. The Mammoth are not feeling the pressure, and they were using their speed. And then sure enough, Vegas started closing down the middle of the ice, clogging it up, and using their big bodies to frustrate. I mean, they were hitting Utah everywhere they could. But, man, I was excited. I thought, here we go. They're going to steal the first one, and that's really going to send a message to the entire NHL.
And so let's go back to well, obviously it's 2-1 in the third. And, boy, when you get that penalty, it just feels like, oh, man, we got to get through these next 2 minutes. Got to find a way. And they almost did it. They almost got there, but 13 seconds left in the penalty, and they're able to get the tying goal.
Yeah, you got to kill off the entire 2 minutes, right? And how many times you also see goals scored with it, 5-10 seconds after the penalty lapses. But, Mark Stone was Johnny on the spot. It was a decent – I thought things were going pretty well. Vegas was using their size and moving the puck around pretty good. And they have guys that can score. They had a lot of power play goals. And, I thought they were going to get out of that penalty, but there it was, just a big open net. Mark Stone's obviously going to hit that. So it seemed like everything was clicking, and then the Mammoth just have this habit of giving up one and then giving up another one quickly after that.
And then that ended up being the game-winning goal. Vegas added an empty netter late, but the 3-2 goal was essentially another fourth-line goal. They had 2 fourth-line goals tonight, Vegas did.
Yeah, and that's just that line matchup, right? And thought the lines were matched up pretty well. I did see that they started moving Hurdle and Hannafin around a little bit on where they were playing. And I don't know if they were just longer line changes, but it seemed like Tortorella was starting to adapt his lines and try to find that sweet spot to get their guys some more shots on net. I thought Utah was doing the same thing. I really liked the fourth line from Utah tonight. I thought they were doing exactly Tanev, for having such a rough year, you definitely noticed his play tonight. He was doing everything he could. He's working his guts out. And yeah, just some of those weird line matchups. And I know we were going to see more of that next game. You're going to see Bear go back to the drawing board. I wouldn't be surprised to see some line change-ups a little bit. But for the most part, I thought things were working. And, they got through the second period, which is always the one that scares me with the Utah Mammoth. You come out of that with a lead, you figure things are looking your way. The second period is notoriously your worst period. And all you got to do is keep doing what you were doing. Don't play, prevent defense. And I thought they did well till the penalty.
By the way, Cooley with his first ever playoff goal in his first ever playoff game. So congratulations to him. That was, and he almost got number 2 in one of what would have been one of the coolest goals in Utah Mammoth history.
Yeah, and it looked like he was going through the Paul Bunyan forest there. He was there was a lot of lumberjacks going at his stick, and normally that would have been called, but not in the playoffs. But yeah, Logan Cooley, the first ever playoff goal for the Utah Mammoth. I mean, how many firsts is that guy going to get for Utah?
I know. I want to go to a final stretch where it's 4-on-4, and it kind of felt like that was going to play into the advantage, like almost like a mini power play for Utah with their speed and their athleticism. And you take an extra guy off the ice for Vegas, one of those big bodies that are just knocking dudes around. And it felt like that was a missed opportunity there for Utah.
Yeah, 100%. I thought the same thing. I was with a group of people. We were all watching the game, and I said immediately, this will favor Utah. Their speed is going to show 4-on-4, open ice, bigger guys over there on Vegas that are not going to be able to match the speed. And you were seeing that. I thought for a minute you were seeing it, and then you're right. They just kind of, Vegas used their veteran moves, and they know what they're doing, and they rode the storm. But I think Utah showed everybody, including me, that they can play in the playoffs. Yes, they squandered some opportunities and they squandered a lead, but they had the lead. And I think a lot of people didn't even think they'd have the lead.
So you can go glass half empty. Utah comes away with a loss. I even saw some people talk about, even the second goal was kind of an own goal that doesn't. But you know what? It still went in the net. That's all that matters. And Utah had that 2-1 lead going into third, and you just got to take care of business. I think there's a lot of learning that can be done here. What's the old adage? You're either winning or learning. And I think there's a lot of learning tonight for the Mammoth.
Yeah, 100%. Right. And about that one that they gave Stenlund the credit for, I mean, they don't ask how. They just ask how many.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're right. I think for me, I'm the glass half full guy. I saw a lot of really good things tonight. I saw a lot of opportunities that maybe Utah wasn't used to. This was that big physical game. And you had to have seen it. Even if this is the first playoff game you've ever watched and you've been watching the Mammoth all season, and you're like, hey, how come every time our guy touches the puck, there's somebody on top of him? You don't have that neutral zone to gain your speed. They clog up the neutral zone. It's almost man on man the entire game, and there's just no space out there. Utah started trying to figure that out. They were using their speed. I liked what I saw in the first period. I liked what I saw in the second period. And I'm telling you, right up until that penalty, I really thought they were shifting things their way. And I'm not blaming everything on the penalty. That was kind of a fluky, desperation move. But, right up until then, I thought Utah was figuring out playoff hockey. And I think they're going to go back and they're going to watch the film. And I think you're going to see this isn't going to set them back. I think this helps them. This game's it's out of their system. They know what it's like now. This is the playoffs. Everybody on the Utah roster has a playoff game now. So I think you're going to see a motivated and newly educated Utah Mammoth come on the next game.
Veggie had so much traffic in front of him in this game, and Vegas just does such a great job of getting guys planted in front of in that crease and causing all kinds of problems at the net. How can you clear some of that out of that traffic? Because even the ones that didn't go in, he did a masterful job, because there were a lot of those greasy goal opportunities for Vegas.
Yeah, and I thought Utah did a really good job, even on their PK, keeping Dorofoyev away from. I mean, he had 20 power play goals this season, and the Mammoth were able to isolate him and keep him away from the puck and mostly away from Veggie. And honestly, you just need your guys. You saw Ian Cole just brute force in front of the net, and I was pretty impressed with Ian Cole's game. He took some pretty big hits to make plays, and he just got up and got right back in there. But that's what it takes. It takes just brute force, and there's no other way to do it but just put on your work boots and start blue-collar work in front of the net. It's on both ends, right? You got to do it in the offensive end, and your defensemen have to just make it miserable. Little rabbit shots to the kidneys, little cross checks, a nice elbow in the back while you're pushing a guy out of the front of Veggie. That's what we need to see from all 6 defense for the Utah Mammoth.
So as a goaltender yourself, because you've done a great job kind of explaining to me and our listeners that not every goal is the goaltender's fault. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's the guys in front of him. So overall, you're great on Veggie and what you saw from him tonight.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with Veggie, actually. Honestly, he was my biggest question mark, I think, for a lot of people, right? He never really had an NHL playoff game. So I thought a lot of people probably would put a question mark on Veggie tonight. I would give him a B+. And maybe that's a little bit harsh. I liked where he was on screen shots. I liked where he was setting up. You know, when you have a guy screening you, that's as far out as you can challenge. So if you're getting shots from the outside, you have to be on that guy, because when he deflects it, you have to be close to that person in case they tip it. I saw Veggie fight through a lot of traffic. He made some really good glove saves. But the only place I'd give him minus mark, a little bit of rebound control and a little bit of that battle that I talked about before, where you make the save and then you're pushing right away to the next side. You see it with Carter Hart. Even when he's fighting the puck, he's still quick, makes the save, and he's moving right away, following the puck. Veggie there were a couple plays where he was just a little bit behind on that. You know, it's called locate, rotate, activate, and he was just a little bit behind on that rotate and activate.
Scott Gerard alongside Jay Stevens, wrapping up a game 1 loss for the Utah Mammoth. They lose this game 4-2. But you know, the old adage is when you start a series on the road, if you can just get one, and the Mammoth still has that opportunity coming up.
Yeah, just got to steal one. And like I said, I think Utah's got confidence now. I think they've figured it out. They're going to be educated. I think Bear is going to do a terrific job at showing them the film and breaking down the parts. He'll probably make a line adjustment here and there. I really did like our 4th line and our 3rd line. I thought we were getting some opportunities, and as they start battering these defensemen, it's going to open up some space when they enter the zone on zone entry. And it's going to open up for Cooley. So when he makes those moves, you're not going to have that third player. I think it was the center that came back and stopped him after he walked those 2D, which beautiful play. But somebody got him with that final stick. They just got to keep throwing those body shots, and then that'll open room for Keller and Cooley to do the thing they did. You saw in their first goal, you saw that they kind of figured it out. The whole period, they were almost playing their game. And then that last minute of the first period, you saw them set up. And it's old school. That's the Utah Mammoth goal. You knew where it was coming. You knew where it was going. And that's what you're going to see. And, yeah, I think they have the opportunity to steal that one.
But, boy, you're right, though. I mean, you could not see two, I don't want to say different teams, but one team's got a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. Another team just wants to kill you with brute force strength. And it'll be fascinating to see how this thing plays out in game 2.
Don't you just love hockey, Scotty? It's
so much fun.
Just so much fun. So much fun to watch this happen. And game 2, I think Utah's going to up the physicality. I think Utah's going to come out and prove that they did it. I think maybe they feel like they got bullied around a little bit, especially in the 3rd period. Especially you saw the stuff at the end there. Vegas is definitely targeting Gunther, targeting Cooley. They know those are 2 young kids, and they're going to keep targeting like late hits, early hits, cheap shots, whatever. It's playoff hockey. Everything's fair in love and war, right? Love, war, and playoff hockey. So that's what you're going to see. But at the same time, I think these guys are figuring it out.
But honestly, too, you look at Dursey coming off the injury, and there were questions whether he'd play. Not only did he play, he had his nose stuck in everything, man. That dude was all over the place. Yeah,
that's one of the things you love about Dursey is he does not mind playing that dirty playoff. Maybe dirty's the wrong word. I'll use that more as a blue collar. Like he'll go in there and he'll battle in the corners. He'll battle in front of the net. He'll battle in the neutral zone. And then if he gets the opportunity, he'll probably battle in the offensive zone too. You did see him and Sergachev, both of them led a couple charges there in the 3rd period. So yeah, these guys it's so important to have him back. And we need some miracle. I just think McBain is the missing piece. I think if McBain was there, this would have been a win.
Wow. All right. So when you look at from game one going into game two, before we wrap things up here, and we appreciate you being a part of our post-game coverage on YouTube as well as X, but kind of give me your thoughts on what Bear could address specifically going into game number two.
They need to address some of the missed coverages in the defensive zone. You saw some times where Vegas was able to cycle the puck and Utah was not able to get to that puck. If you're on a PK, you don't necessarily hit the guy. But if it's not a PK and they're in your zone, you finish that check. You take your body and you put it on his body, and then that should open up the puck somewhere. Just hit somebody and disengage them from the puck. That's the whole point. There were times where Utah did not engage. They did flybys. I think Bear is going to fix those flybys. This is playoff hockey. Everybody gets hit. You touch the puck, you're going to get hit. It has to happen. So I think that's a place that Bear's going to work on, and that's especially the top six forwards need to throw their body around. I mean, the other two lines 3 and 4, they threw their body around. Yeah. I mean, and you got to love Tanev doing his thing, but that's the main thing I think needs to happen. And then just figuring it out that you are the Utah Mammoth, play to your strengths in the offensive zone. You saw a couple times when Cooley tried to break to the boards. It's a Gretzky break. You enter the zone and then you turn away and go to the boards. Vegas wasn't falling for that. So stop trying that one. Set up in the zone. Utah is known for having long offensive zone times, and they really didn't have that this time. So those are the things I think you're going to see Bear work on that Utah works on tomorrow in practice.
By the way, I'm glad you pointed out, I had on my notes to bring up Tanev. You know, obviously the season hasn't gone the way that he would have liked, but boy, he was all over the place in this one tonight.
Yeah, you got to love his effort. I mean, for a guy that's just not had the year, like you said, that everybody anticipated him having. When Utah signed him, I was really excited. And I just feel bad for him because he is a great player and he is important. And playoff hockey can be where you find that out. Carconi's another one. You saw him hit everybody he possibly could. And even Yamamoto, like, you got to love Yamamoto. He's got a ton of playoff experience. And those three guys, those are guys that in and out of the roster or sent to the minors last year. And I would argue that they were some of your better players in this first playoff game. I mean, they really showed up.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Jay, it's been a long night for you. I appreciate you hanging in there with us. Fun coverage, and let's get ready for game number 2, okay?
I'm excited about it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Jay Stevens, I'm Scott Gerard. Thanks for listening and watching our post-game coverage. Utah drops a tough one in game 1, 4-2 to the Vegas Golden Knights, right here on KSLSports.com and 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.